Recently, I got myself a 4-channel RC airplane, finally. Been wanting one of these for about 28 years. I'm 32, do the math. So with that said, I'm actually happy I got this one because this one actually has a gyro on it. Especially considering when it comes to these smaller models, it's kind of hard to fly them without a gyro. And when it comes to the way I fly this thing, I'm more or less flying this thing in intermediate mode. That way, so it doesn't just instantly nosedive itself. I probably need to do some more trimming and whatnot when it's actually nice and calm to fully trim this thing out. But overall, even though I've had it for probably like 20 hours now at this point, it's a good little aircraft. I only spent 130 bucks for it. Here's the box it came in compared to the original reviews I saw this Zero way back, like 6-7 months ago. It was just a plain white box with just the aircraft itself. Now they kind of gussied up the box and make it a little more professional when it is still technically a toy grade aircraft, but at least, like I said, I finally have myself a full 4-channel aircraft with a gyro and whatnot, and it actually flies relatively fine with the gyro installed, with the gyro enabled. So what do you get in the box? Obviously, you get the aircraft, you get the removable landing gear, you get the 4-channel receiver and whatnot, or transmitter and whatnot. You get two blades and 3 blades. Apparently, the 2 blades provide better performance, while the 3 blade is more for scale and whatnot. You get the charger, which is just USB, and 2 lithium batteries that are 400 milliamp. So at least they're a little more higher capacity than the 300 in my little mini air hog or mini storm launcher knockoff. And they give you 2. And you can actually get more of these on Amazon for like 20 bucks. You can get like 4 of them and another charger and whatnot. You also get a little hub adapters because you will break these hub adapters. I actually broke mine, so luckily I had to use it right out of the gate. Like 15 minutes after getting this thing in the air, I literally nose dived it into the ground because I was too low to the ground and whatnot, and the wind just caught it and just yeeted it into the ground. But luckily the prop though is completely fine. I have not broken a prop yet. And of course I didn't record initially because I was still learning this thing. But when this thing hit the ground, it actually hit the ground real hard. And it's amazing that the only thing that broke was the little prop adapter. Everything else was completely fine, which is really impressive for something that came directly from China. But with that said, as of right now, this is a nice little aircraft. So when it comes to actually reviewing this thing, I'm not going to professionally review it and whatnot because there are other YouTube channels out there that do more proper in-depth reviews on something like this. I just want to record how I like this thing and whatnot and just have a video up on it because I finally got myself an RC airplane. I still want to build life-size anime figurines like I stated before time and time again. But now I'm finally getting into what I really, really like, which is RC aircraft. And I'm going to hopefully use this as a jumping off point to get something a little more nicer down the road. With that said though, if I do get something a little more nicer down the road when it comes to the RC aircraft hobby, I'm probably going to get a Cessna. And that's just because these warbirds are just unstable in nature. And considering my skill set and how I'm always flying this thing in intermediate mode, I do not want to get a big scale warbird and just outright nosedive it into the ground because those things are like $250, $300, especially if I get like a really nice one. Now granted, the only way I'll actually get something like that is if it has a gyro built in also, but I'll cross that bridge when it comes in like a year or 2 maybe less, depending on how everything goes. So with that said, I need to rebuild my hat cam because this one does not fit my iPhone. I think this fits my LG V40. And since I'm recording this with my iPhone, I want to have somewhat better quality video. So I got to completely rebuild this thing again. So that's going to take a little bit to do, but yeah. I'm also going to wait for the wind to calm down a little bit more before I actually go out and fly this thing again. Also, if you do get one of these, don't think that just because it has a gyro on it, doesn't mean you still can't crash it or stall it and whatnot. Again, I managed to do that quite a few times, even with the gyro enabled. Granted though, it was due mostly because, like I said before, I was too low to the ground and the wind caught it at a bad angle. So if you're going to get one of these, especially if you're just learning how to fly these things, now granted the reason why I was flying this thing so low initially is because I'm relatively competent enough on these aircraft that I kind of know what I'm doing. But if you don't know what you're doing, get this thing up really high, like 3-4 mistakes high, with the gyro enabled and whatnot, and fly this thing around until you're comfortable and you know your skill sets. Then you can slowly lower yourself down to more ground level and whatnot and be more closer to the ground. Again, I've been kind of flying RC aircraft for 28 years, but I never really had anything 4-channel before. So that's why I'm just a little bit more competent in my skill than someone brand new to the hobby. I forgot to mention one more thing, the remote. If I can change one thing about this remote, is I would like to have a ratcheting system for the throttle, because it's just free flowing and whatnot, so you're not able to just lock the throttle in where you want it. You just gotta kind of move it in and kind of hope it just stays. Compared to the little two-channel transmitter from my Mini Airhog Storm Launcher knockoff, this one actually has a ratcheting system. It's very, very slight, but you can feel the ratcheting and whatnot, and it will actually ratchet into place. Which is actually kind of impressive that this cheap little Storm Launcher knockoff has a ratcheting system, and I only spent like 20 bucks, like 30, 40 bucks on this, while an RC hobby grade-ish aircraft with a proper 4-channel real transmitter doesn't actually have a ratcheting system. Of course, I can probably 3D print a ratcheting system and modify it into here, but I don't want to do that, and my 3D printer is still kind of not working right. So with that said, I'm going to charge up my iPhone, rebuild my hack cam, that way so I can actually show this thing flying, and wrap the video up. Alright, rebuilt the hack cam, and hopefully I'll have everything properly angled so you can actually see this thing flying. With that said, it's been a real long time since I've actually used my neighbor's field for anything like this. But luckily I'm still able to use this field, put it into a medium intermediate mode, and it'll just fly without any issues. When it comes to intermediate mode for this thing, I call it a war thunder mode, because basically you can fly this thing indefinite without crashing, as long as you don't fly it too low to the ground or the wind doesn't catch it. Again, hopefully it's recording. I doubt it will be, so I'll probably do multiple reshoots so I get the angle proper on the hack cam, but whatever. So I'll just shut up and I'll just fly this thing around for a while. One thing I will say for certain though is when it comes to throttle management, I can fly this thing about like quarter throttle for basically ever until the battery cuts off. I don't know the actual flight time of this thing. That's another reason why I'm recording all this. Granted, I don't know if the battery I'm using is fully charged or not, because I did go fly this thing a little while ago. But I am interested in seeing what the actual flight times of this thing is going to be like. What I will do is I'll go a couple mistakes high and I'll flip it into manual mode and see if I can actually somewhat control it. Alright, that's definitely a couple mistakes high. Flipping into manual mode. I mean, I can control it, but it's not as easy to control as if it was with gyro. But then again, that's because this thing's really small, and any type of wind the wind in this thing don't play nice. I'm putting it back into a medium mode. or manual, whatever you call it, War Thunder mode. Like I was explaining to my father, if I got like a bigger RC aircraft, I think I even mentioned it before in the video, that I'll actually be able to probably fly it in manual mode more often, because it's a lot more aircraft than what this thing is. But yeah, when it comes to me flying this thing, it's going to be gyro for the most part, unfortunately. Oh, yeah, I just did that. Okay, so you got the battery, it's about to die. And the battery died. So one thing you also probably note is that it has a little, that's able to apparently tell how long the battery has before it croaks. So that was like, what, 5 minutes worth of a runtime, which means the battery that I was using is not fully charged. So I guess I can now grab the one that's fully charged, unless the video I just recorded is actually halfway decent. Another thing to note on this particular airplane is that the propellers 9 times out of 10 when you land will pop off, which is, you can see as annoying, but I see it as it's a good thing, because I can't tell you how many times I've broken props on like simple 2 channels before and just been basically out of the water because there's no way to replace them. But this particular aircraft, the prop just pops off, and chances are you ain't going to break it, because like I said, you'll probably end up breaking the spinner instead of the actual prop itself. Just reviewed the video and it actually came out halfway decent. You already know that because I had it in the video. With that said, I do want to actually see how long the battery in this thing will actually last. So what I'll do is I'll wait for the sun to go more down, that way so the wind's a little more calm. And I'll use the other battery that is fully charged, and I'll just basically be silent for most of that part of the video, so I can just watch this thing fly. And I can also get an idea of how long this thing will actually fly on a battery. And when it comes to that, I'm not going to really do much of aerobatics or anything like that. I'm just going to just lower it around at the lowest throttle setting possible to see how long this thing can actually fly if you just want to put it around and then just fly it. All right, wind is significantly calmer, sun is definitely going down. I decided to swap over to the 2-plate prop, and we're going to see how long this thing actually flies for. Also, my father decided to mow my neighbor's lawn, so you're going to be hearing that throughout the background of this video, but whatever. Oh, got to put this into War Thunder mode. There we go. Like I said before, I don't dare fly this thing in expert mode because it's just way too small and unstable for me. I thought the wind calmed down. It's still a little windy, but whatever. I will temporarily put it into manual mode to see what happens. And the instant I put it into manual mode, it just likes to instantly pop up. I don't know if the CG's off or if the elevator is not properly trimmed, but that's one of the reasons why I don't fly this thing in expert mode, is because, well, I don't know if the CG's off. I don't know where you actually CG this thing, and I'd rather not crash something that I just got. Like I said before, I'm pretty certain if I get a bigger model, I'll be able to fly it more properly in manual mode if it does have that option of gyro, but whatever. Oh yeah, when it comes to throttle, I'm barely even giving it throttle. That's how little this thing needs to fly, which is actually honestly impressive. Let's see if I can do this properly. That's how little throttle I'm giving it, and it just flies indefinite like this. And also right now I'm just controlling the I'm just controlling it through the right stick. I'm not giving any throttle command or rudder command. I'll pop it back into manual mode again. I want to try and take this opportunity to actually try and get this thing to fly correctly. Because I do want to fly this thing in manual mode, but with it currently wanting to go up constantly with the elevator, it makes it a little difficult. I bumped a little bit more throttle up so I can actually fly this thing. I really can't see it when it's this low, when the lights are slow. Okay, I'm gonna get a few mistakes, sorry, so I'm gonna punch it. Oh, that's beginner mode. Let me dump it to manual mode again. This thing takes forever to roll. It obviously can do loops completely fine, but rolling is just like yeet. Well, since I trimmed it, it's flying a little more nice. It just feels like it still has more wanting to go to the right than to the left. And right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to build my confidence so I can actually fly this thing in manual mode. Obviously I'm not putting in rudder coordination because I just don't trust myself that much. Oh yeah, when it comes to throttle input, I still haven't really given it any more than what, I'm still basically at the same throttle input. Obviously, when I punched out to gain altitude is obviously when I put more throttle into it, but generally speaking, the throttle is staying relatively in the same position. Other than me needing to give it a little bit of throttle because I think it's about to stall. Or in that particular case, about to crash. Okay, I'm punching it. It may be hard, maybe more, well, when it comes to actually flying this thing, since I used to fly in War Thunder, granted I used to fly in arcade mode, I'm able to kind of take what I've learned in War Thunder and how they modeled the Zero, and I'm putting it into how this thing flies, so I know not to get too slow and whatnot. But that's kind of how my brain works. I mean, I am autistic after all. I think I stated this in multiple videos that I am autistic, and my brain works a little more different than the average person does. Okay, I'm just getting to about like 30% throttle now. Mainly because I don't want to stall this thing out. Because I have noticing I'm getting really close to stalling it. In fact, that's half the reason why you're hearing the clicks of me putting it back into War Thunder mode. Actually, I should actually change it over to like snail mode or something. I don't know. I can't think of anything funny. Okay, now I'm putting a little bit of rudder command into it to see if I can get used to it. Because I know putting in rudder is going to make this thing turn even tighter, and that is something I need to learn. Normally when you're getting into RC aircraft, you'll be using a trainer. The last thing you want to be using to train yourself in the RC hobby is a freaking warbird, let alone a small one like this. But like I said, I've been flying RC aircraft for years, and that's why I'm just a little bit more confident in my skill set. And right now I am flying it all in manual mode, and I am getting rudder command and everything. And of course, rudder command is obviously making this thing far more easier to fly. And I'm also maneuvering the throttle and whatnot, and I'm about to crash. Get too confident, get too whatever, and yeah. Thank God for idiot mode. Stall's kind of not eventfully. Then again, I was at quite a few mistakes high. I'll be impressed if my iPhone's actually able to come out with good video on this. It also feels like I've been flying for a real long time. Alright, I almost got into the neighbor's yard and I don't want to do that, so I'm definitely not going to do any more manual when the sun's this low. I'll just go back to being boring old, whatever. Okay, I can definitely feel the battery starting to drain out. I'm starting to have to get a little bit more throttle than I did before. I'm about at half. But yeah, I can feel the battery starting to drain on this thing. Actually, I know about like maybe 35–40%. Ooh, almost hit the hay barrel. I think I'll do a full speed pass for those that are wanting to see what that looks like. As long as I don't hit the ground. Full speed. Granted, that's full speed at probably like maybe half battery. Full speed again. It's surprisingly fast for what it is. And again, that's like I said, more than likely with half battery. And soon I'll be able to play StarField. Yay! The reason why I'm playing StarField right now is because I'm waiting for the sun to go down. My 4K 43-inch TV is reflective as heck, and I don't like seeing my ugly face whenever I'm playing my video games. If I could get a 43-inch matte 4K panel, that would be even better. Oh crap. Wait until to find a black box on that one. Yeah, I know, cringe joke from Family Guy. Yeah, I probably really should have got myself a Japanese airplane for when it comes to flying at dusk like this. Makes it really difficult to see with these trees. Maybe I should have bought that 109 or that 51 my father was pushing me to. Whatever. So, like I said before, if it wasn't for the fact that I had bad times with 51 way back when I was younger, I would have gotten the 51. The last time I had an RC airplane that was 4-channel, it was a 51. That thing never got off the ground. It would always crash. I don't know if it was underpowered or I didn't have the CG correct or what, but that thing never flew right. And that was the one reason why I didn't choose the 51, because again, yeah. And I'm still hesitant on getting the 51 from these guys just because of that fact. Even though it has a gyro on it, I still don't want to get 51 just because of how bad the original 51 I had way back when was bad. Oh, battery's finally about to die. Oh, battery literally just died. 20 minutes, that's impressive. Sometimes the prop will in fact stay on the plane when you crash or land like this, but whatever. So I think that pretty much sums up this video.